In this problem it says solve the system by graphing, and it gives you the two equations. One of the biggest challenges with any graphing question is, what method do we use to locate or to find 2 points? We got to plot 2 points to draw a straight line. And so how do we know what method to use? Well, when the equation is already solved for y, as the first one is, y is equal to 7x divided by 2 plus 9. In this case, it's pretty easy just to plug in x values, any x value we want, and find the y value that goes with it. We just have to choose our x values carefully so that the numbers are easy to work with. If we let x equal 0, then it works out well because that's going to be 7 times 0 divided by 2 plus 9. Well, 7 times 0 is 0 divided by 2 plus 9. Well, 0 divided by 2 is 0. So everything goes away except for the 9. And you probably didn't even need to write all those steps out. When you plug in 0 into this term, the whole thing gets wiped out. Now it seems reasonable to plug in 1 for x next, but then I would have 7 over 2 plus 9. 7 times 1 is 7, so I don't want to deal with 7 halves plus 9. Just plug in 2, that'll make the fraction go away. And if we do that, let's see what happens. We end up with 7 times 2 over 2 plus 9, which is 14 over 2 plus 9. And 14 divided by 2 is 7 plus 9, and that's 16. The only problem that we might have there is that 16 might be too big for the graph. The graph may not go up that high on the y-axis. So we can avoid that problem. We can plug in a -2 for x and see what happens there. I'm going to do that because I don't think the y-axis went up to 16. It's alright, let's plug in -2. So 7 times -2 divided by 2 plus 9. Well, 7 times a -2 is going to give us -14 over 2 plus 9. -14 divided by 2 is -7 plus 9. -7 plus 9 would be a +2. And I know that'll fit on the graph, so I'm going to plot, use the 0, 9 and the -2, +2. Alright, that's the first equation. Now, what about the second equation? That second equation is -2x plus y is equal to 6. -2x plus y is equal to 6. Well, we could graph this one by using intercepts, and that would work out just as well. But since it would be pretty easy to solve this thing for y, because the coefficient of y is 1. So I can get y by itself simply by adding 2x to both sides. And if we did that, we would get y is equal to 2x plus 6. Now we're back to what we did before. Just plug in any x value we want and find the y value. Well, never pass up a chance to let x equal 0. 2 times 0 is 0, and 0 plus 6 is 6. Let's let x equal 1. Well, 2 times 1 plus 6 is just going to be 2 plus 6, which is 8. I think those will both fit on the graph. If we wanted to be sure, if we think 8's too big, we could always plug in -1 for x, and that would give us 2 times -1 plus 6, which is -2 plus 6, which would give us 4. We could choose any two of these. I'm going to go with the first two. Alright, let's go over to the graph and plot those. Alright, we should plot both lines on the graph and the point of intersection. Alright, so let me find out where that was. Here we go. Alright, so here's the graph. The first line, doesn't matter which color we choose for which line. For the first one I graphed, the points were 0, 9, x equals 0, y equals 9. That would be right there. And then the second point was negative 2, negative 2, x negative 2, y negative 2. That's that point right there. By the way, if you click on that point, it will tell you what the ordered pair is if you're not quite sure if you're sitting on it. And that's negative 2, negative 2. But I'm mistaken there. That point should be negative 2, positive 2. So I got to fix that. It was negative 2, positive 2. And I'm doing this with a mouse. If you try to do this with a touchpad, it can be really tricky. All right, so my 2 points were 0, 9 and negative 2, positive 2. That's the first equation. The second equation, I had 0, 6, x equals 0, y equals 6. That's this point here. And I'll tap it just to be sure. 0, 6. And then the other point I was going to plot was x equals 1, y equals 8. X equals 1, y equals 8. And that's kind of in the way, so let me clear out this one. Here it goes. What did I say? 1, 8. Those are pretty close together, but let's make sure I'm in the right 2 spots. First one was 0, 6. That's there. The second one was 1, 8. That's there. Now it says, give me the point of intersection. Where do the 2 lines intersect? Well, they both the 2 lines seem to intersect right there at negative 2, 2. That's the point of intersection, negative 2, 2. Now, if we wanted to double check that before we submit the answer, if we go back to our work area here, we had negative 2, negative 2. We had found that on the first graph. What if we plug in negative 2 into the second equation? Would we get a positive 2 for x? Well, let's see. If we plug in negative 2 into this equation, we're going to get y is equal to 2 times a negative 2 plus 6. 2 times a negative 2 plus 6. Clear this mess out of the way. All right, and that means we're going to get 2 times negative 2 is negative 4 plus 6. And negative 4 plus 6 is equal to 2. So sure enough, if I had plugged in a negative 2, I would have seen that both equations had the point negative 2, positive 2 on them. But we found that with the graph, and so we can be more confident that, that we have the right solution. Hit submit and tell us if I'm right. It says we did. All right. Hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions.